Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a new year and the January 14th Lebanon Board of Works meeting. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now move on to the roll call of members. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Yes. Right page. Mayor Gentry.
Present.
Jane Taylor is absent this evening. Bill Stoner.
Present.
Dick Robertson.
Present.
Alan Milburn.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, now we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting from December of last year. Any questions or edits to the minutes?
No.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion we approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those here say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, minutes are approved. All right, now we'll move on to department head reports. First up is Police Department, Chief Wormuth.
Welcome back, everyone, from a month ago. During the period between 12/10 of 2018 and today's date of 1/14/2019, the Lebanon Police Department responded to 866 calls for service. A total of 24 persons were arrested for the following crimes: 7 for wanted on a warrant, 2 for robbery, 2 for domestic battery, 2 for disorderly conduct, 2 for driving while suspended, 2 for driving without a license, 2 for operating a vehicle while intoxicated, 1 for receiving stolen property, 2 for possession of marijuana, 1 for possession of meth, and 1 for possession of a controlled substance. A total of 18 handgun carry licenses were issued by our office in this time period. On December 17th, Officer Jamie Newland attended training in prisoner control and searches. On December 15th through the 17th, Officer Clark Lecker attended training to become one of the department's field training officers. FTOs are responsible for continuing the training of our rookie officers after they graduate from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, and is one of the most important jobs we have on the police department. On January 9th, Officer Jarrell Wiggins completed 2 courses of training, one on cyber fraud and another on effective reporting of child abuse cases. This Friday, we have 3 officers finally graduating from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. Officers Tim Edmonds, James Kamaj, and Eric Taylor are now in their final week of 17 long weeks away from home. They will begin the FTO program next week, and we hope to have them on solo patrol once they complete FTO by the 1st of May. And we want to remind the public that winter is fully upon us now and that they should adjust their driving habits for snow and ice. This past weekend, snowfall contributed to 13 vehicle accidents in the city, 4 being personal injury accidents. Most accidents can be avoided simply by slowing your speed and giving plenty of space between you and the car you were following. Also, a reminder to the public, please keep your pets in mind as the temperatures drop. Make sure they have proper shelter, a warm, dry place to lie, and water that's not frozen. Consider bringing them in during the nights. And that's all we have to report this time.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the board for Chief?
No.
Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, next up is Fire Department, Chief Batts.
Good evening, everyone. Since the last Board of Works meeting, Lebanon Fire has made 312 emergency calls for service, logged 287 training hours, performed 28 commercial inspections, installed 4 car seats, and participated in 1 public education event. Our hiring process is currently down to 14 candidates. The background investigations will be completed next week. Our goal is to move the top 7 candidates to a Board of Works interview the week of the 28th. I am currently completing my end-of-year interviews with each of our department members. The topics include 2019 departmental changes, continuing education, and any changes they would like to see within the department. This is something that I do annually, and I always come away with some good information. During January and February, crews will be out participating in water rescue training. You'll see them out training in area ponds. As temperatures fluctuate, we are asking the public to stay away from ice-covered waterways. I would like to share with you a media release that we put together, that we sent out last week. I apologize, I do not have it memorized, so I will be reading it. Taking a look back at 2018 and forward to 2019, Lebanon Fire would like to thank Mayor Matt Gentry, the Lebanon Board of Public Works and Safety, and the Lebanon City Council for their faith and trust in our department. You have given us the support to move our department forward. 2018 dealt our county and community with many tragedies. Through these difficult times, the thin blue and red line have bonded closer with each other and to the public. The operational continuity between Boone County Public Safety is at an all-time high. The beneficiary is the public that we serve. 2018 marked the one-year anniversary of Boone County EMS Medic 11 being stationed at Station 11. We would like to thank Boone County EMS Director John Merson and his staff for their amazing service they provide. Medic 11 provides outstanding care and response times to the south side of Lebanon. Our partnership continues to grow into 2019. Lebanon Fire's prime directive is very simple. That's the preservation of life and property. Our goal is to work towards and maintain public trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I think everyone echoes the sentiments and agrees with you, Harley, on where we came as a community from 2018, and hopefully 2019 is a successful one for all of us as we go moving forward. So, any questions for Chief from the board?
No.
Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, next up, Parks Department, John Messenger.
Good evening. We had our first big snow. I think we all know that last Saturday. I didn't get to witness it here. I was in Kansas City. Don't know what I was there for because it was not a football game anyway. Everything went very smoothly. Park, bike, pedestrian walks, Gene Haas Fire Department in downtown all got taken care of. The guys did an outstanding job down there. Appreciate it. I think there was 120 hours a few guys put in this weekend, total hours. Just did an outstanding job. First snow, that great big one, is always tough, and looks like we have more coming this weekend, so we got a good practice in for this upcoming weekend. The street department also, just great big help to all the guys that work very well together. Got a hats off to them. They did an outstanding job too. We took down a couple shelters off the Big Four Trail last week. I shared with most of you the pictures there. We do our best to try and find out if anybody is in those homes or huts or whatever they're called, and didn't find anybody there, but we did clean them up and removed them from the Big Four Trail. That happens several times throughout the year. We do our best to try and help them out as we can, mental health or trying other services around town. Anyway, those are cleaned up and off the trail. If you do notice anything, please let us know and we'll address it immediately. I want to thank Brad Bailey too. He was helping us out with that project. We had our first of many splash pad construction meetings this past Friday out at the job site at Abner Longley. The temporary fencing and silt fencing have been installed, along with a lot of site work. Well, we're waiting on a stamp from the Homeland Security /state. As soon as we get a stamp, we can go ahead and start the construction soon to follow right after that. So we're just waiting on a stamp. As soon as we get the approval, we'll go forward with that. I don't know if I need the board's approval, but we did hire or have someone to hire on the 23rd, Bob Stevens, for one of our maintenance positions. He worked for us all last year as a part-time employee, and Bob brings to the table 25 years plus experience, practical experience. He also had his own lawn care business that he took care of a lot of places around Frankfort. I think he had a lot of spray accounts in Lebanon too. Has a lot of knowledge and certifications from Purdue, extensive training there. It's just going to be a big asset to us. We will start him on the 23rd if the board will approve that. And excited to have somebody and have him join our family, but we're real excited about that. We have one other opening. We lost an employee last week. He resigned, so we still have one position open in the maintenance end. Anybody interested in those positions, call the park office at 482-8860 or stop by the park office. We really could use some applicants, to say the least. Looking forward to speaking the 8th grade LMS on Wednesday for their service learning project. I think I've done that 5 years running now. It's really good. Mrs. Schultz has put together a very good program. Get a lot of very interesting input from the 8th graders and what they'd like to see in our park system and what keeps them entertained. And hopefully I can do some recruiting, because 15 years of age, we can get them started at the park working there. Obviously with 50 employees that we have to hire here soon, get them certified and ready to go as lifeguards and maintenance staff. We're also taking applications for the lifeguard concession stand and maintenance positions this summer, so anybody 15 years and above, if they could come out, fill out an application, we'd love to talk to you. And that's all I had. There again, I don't know if we need board approval for Bob Stevens or not. I pretty well hire it. I think it's not public safety, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can
He's
sign
a
that
good
paperwork for
guy.
you,
He's
John.
a great guy, and I'm sure you guys will all approve of him.
Yeah.
He's a good asset to the parks.
Okay. Any questions for John from the board?
Nope.
Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next up, the engineering department, Kevin Krulik.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for your time this evening. Looking at updates since the last time we met here, going through projects, the East Street project. I know I keep talking about that. We're nearing that final completion. I'm told by our consultants that as-built are expected to be approved next week and fully processed and delivered back to us. We'll continue to hold retainage on the contract until we get that complete. There is also one outstanding concrete performance issue that we're trying to resolve and waiting on some experts from our consultant to weigh in there. But that will wrap up that project. Moving on, other things going on, the Northern Interchange project. Not much to talk about here, but we are making preparations for a build grant submittal that will go in sometime in April, as soon as that grant application process opens up. So we'll keep everybody posted on that. And then going to the exciting stuff downtown. A lot's happened since we last met. Start with some of the small stuff. We've completed, or Vectron completed, some of the gas main relocations at the corner of Main and 39, as well as going west on 39 for the future West Main Street project. We did fully open up Washington Street to traffic on December 29th. Should know that was 22 days behind schedule, and so we will be collecting liquidated damages of $5,000 a day per our contract for that work. Storm sewers were also completed in the intersection of Main and 39. All the stone walls and planters have also been completed. All traffic signal poles at this point are operational. The last one was put up late in the afternoon last Friday. So you'll probably notice all the new decorative traffic signal poles are up and functioning. They're not complete at this point. There's some decorative elements that get attached to the poles, some decorative skirts, some lighting that gets attached to the poles, as well as a few other miscellaneous things that are happening with the wiring of everything. We've also put in all the temporary concrete and asphalt patching along 39. It is temporary. Due to temperatures, we were not able to do asphalt surfacing, so we'll mill that off in the spring and give a final coat. But all those areas are now shouldn't be any bumps as you drive through there, at least any more than normal. Work that's going on as we speak and this week, and hopefully be completed before our next board meeting. The pedestrian signals and controls are expected to be complete next week. So all the pedestrian crosswalk signals, all those actuators, all those things will be going in. Final traffic signal timing will be completed, although that will need to be adjusted again in the spring once we get to some warmer temperatures. Final curbs and walks along Main Street and 39, we're expected to do those, although that is heavily weather dependent, but we are working that plan best we can. So we had ground heaters out over the weekend, keeping the subgrade warm on the southwest corner. We removed that today and removed all the snow and graded everything for sidewalks. And then we'll plan on pouring some sidewalks on that southwest corner by the Key Bank ATM lot tomorrow. basically, as it stands right now, we got about 2 days of concrete work on each corner. Normally, we would be able to do those concurrently, but with the process of heating the ground and ensuring we've got all things within specifications, it's going to take more like 2 days apiece. So, but we have a plan put in place to try to wrap up the concrete on all 4 corners of Main Street and 39 as they're wrapping up all the the final signalization issues. Per White Construction, we've got about 15 working days that they need to complete the project. That's obviously dependent on weather. I say working days, not calendar days. So today was a working day, and hopefully tomorrow will be a good working day, but what comes with the snow at the end of the week will remain to be seen. I mentioned milling and surfacing along 39 will take place in the spring. There's also some storm sewer work that has to happen in the intersection of 39 and Washington. We'll do that at the same time that we're going to do that milling and resurfacing, just replacing some old infrastructure that was discovered as we were going through the project. So that's a bit of a change of scope, but it is something we feel we need to do while we're there working in the area, as opposed to waiting for some future failure. But everything that has been completed today, all the storm sewer pipes have been replaced underneath the infrastructure that was placed on Washington Street. So this is just some stuff within the intersection of 39 that we're going to take care of. Courthouse seismic monitoring, those stations are going to be removed this week, so we've ended the period of monitoring there. We feel confident that we're outside of any risk for the courthouse as we have all work completed on the interior of the square. So those seismic monitors will be removed this week. The only remaining work to really be done around the courthouse is the replacement of the memorial monuments. Foundations have been dug, and we're just waiting for weather and cooperation to get those work done. I would expect within the next 2 to 3 weeks, though, all those monuments around the courthouse will be set in their final positions. Again, I want to thank everyone for the patience as we went through this complex project. Thank you for sticking with us. We do have more work to go on the square, and then obviously we'll go into Phase 4, which is Main Street between 39 and West Street, as soon as the weather breaks. And at about that same time, we'll also be starting the West Main Street project, which is between West Street and Patterson, and to fully connect the trail and bring it into our downtown. So, and speaking of that, we've got a notice to proceed that will be issued on that Phase 2 project this week, and construction is slated to begin in March with pipe work. All pipe work that happens before April 1st will have to be done under traffic. Primarily, this will be limited to water mains, but those water mains are primarily under the sidewalk on the north side of the street. So again, it shouldn't be too cumbersome to keep traffic open during those water main installations, and then they can close the road after April 1st. It's a 2-phase project. West Street to Lafayette Avenue is Phase 1, and then Lafayette Avenue to Patterson is Phase 2. They've got 120 days for the first phase, 90 days for the second phase. They do have to keep the road open for access reasons, so we're not going to cut off access for any businesses or residents that live in that area. But obviously that access will be modified at times. Again, keep looking for updates, the daily updates from Heart of Lebanon. I can't thank Joe LePage enough for all the work he does on keeping the word out there for everyone to see, and just remind you to keep supporting our downtown businesses as well as our West Main Street businesses. Don't forget those businesses that are off the square that will be affected by construction as we go into the year. Pavement resurfacing from last year, we have closed out all those contracts. We are in the middle of going through a pavement asset management plan update and getting ready for the Community Crossing Grant Program, which closes on February 1st. So we'll be looking to put together our plan, working with the mayor and the street department staff to develop that. And we'll submit to Community Crossings as usual, and then we'll look to bidding those projects for construction sometime in February. Indianapolis Avenue Phase 2. A lot going on down there as we work into that phase. Gas line relocations are complete. Electric relocation has also been completed for Duke Energy. as well as overhead lines for Boone County REMC. And we have issued a notice to proceed for Lebanon Utilities for their electric relocation. Boone County REMC fiber is projected to be completed by the end of the month. And we have also issued a notice to proceed for the Lebanon Utilities water relocation. So see a lot more utility work going on in the next few months. And this is all towards moving towards a project which is a bid opening on Wednesday. The state will handle all that bid opening for us, and they will notify us of the results. But that will happen Wednesday morning. Earliest date to begin work per the state contract will be May 6th. And again, that's separate from utility relocation work, but the road reconstruction work can happen May 6th. And we have a 45-day Phase 1 closure of Indianapolis Avenue between Noble Street and Spencer, or 32. 45 days to reconstruct that area, and then south of Noble Street, that will be done in 2 phases, but we will keep traffic open doing one side at a time. But as you do exit I-65 into Lebanon on Indianapolis Avenue, north of Hendricks Drive, you'll only be able to drive north. There will be detours for any southbound traffic. So look out for those things coming up in the coming weeks, but those detours really shouldn't arrive till next fall. Grant Street, we are still awaiting our notice to proceed on the design phase from NDOT. As soon as that comes in, we will get going on that. We've already had early coordination meetings with our consultant, Butler Fairman. We met last week with Lebanon Utilities to coordinate the design that has to happen of their facilities. Riley Ridge, happy to report all the storm and sanitary sewers are complete, have passed testing, and we should see bonding and secondary plat petitions before you at your next meeting on January 28th. And then Sunbrook, another upcoming residential project. Revised plans were submitted on 12/31. We're going through the review process as we speak. And the only other update I really have is the State Road 39 bridge inspections. We started those inspections in the first week of December. Due to some weather delays and traffic control issues, we were not able to complete the inspection. We'll be hitting the second half of that inspection next week. And again, I think I've said this before, but that's our last remaining inspection under our current contract. And we've already been successful in going to 6-month inspections as opposed to the quarterly inspection. So we'll look for an inspection contract next summer, and then hopefully at that point, with a successful inspection, we'll go to yearly inspections. So thank you for your time. I know there was a lot. If there are any questions I can answer, I'll be happy to.
A lot of stuff going on is good. It means we're fixing infrastructure. Any questions? Yep, Kevin or Tanya.
Just a question. On the square, the last pine tree was cut down. Are there plans to put up any type of trees to replace? I'm sure we've mentioned it before, but I've been asked by a few people.
Yeah, understood. Keep in mind, we did have to remove the pine tree at the northeast corner because of it conflicted with the foundation for the wall.
Right.
The county is going through a planning process to look at all the landscaping around the courthouse. Okay. And so they removed the remaining 3 pine trees, and the last one that was our Christmas tree, our Santa tree at the southeast corner was removed last week. I have been in contact with the county as well as their landscape architect consultant. They are working through, is about all I can say right now, working through a landscape plan that hopefully we'll see at some point in the future. Okay. As of right now, though, there's nothing for them to share with me. Okay. But it's my understanding they're planning to rework all landscaping around the courthouse. And hopefully do it this coming year with some of the ADA modifications to the building they'll be making.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Yep.
I have one more question.
Sure.
On the limestone, I was on the square on Thursday or Friday, and I see all of the black things. That's all I know to call them. And I hear those are for like skateboarders, so they don't get on there.
They are.
It seems to take away from the look of the limestone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is there any other color besides black?
I
mean, I don't know.
I mean, there are other colors. The black, they're actually bronze.
Okay.
So they're sort of period to the materials of the courthouse. You know, you could get them in stainless steel or something like that, but
It would still,
they would
I was
stick
just
out.
hoping they might be like the same color as what's
Yeah.
there, so it's not,
Not as
I mean, you just see all
Visual.
those lines.
understood.
Okay.
Yep. No,
curious.
it's one of those things that, you know, you don't dare not put those in, and we debated a lot about this, whether we needed them or not, and at the end of the day, you know, the damage that skateboarders and bicyclists can do to a limestone wall, which is really a soft material, just outweighed, you know, the aesthetics of that. So we tried to pick a skate stop that was as visually unobtrusive as possible, but obviously there's no perfect
There,
solution.
yeah. Okay, thanks.
So, several communities that have put up walls around their courthouses, they've used the same type of material and so forth. You really don't want it to look the same, because if it does, people will then jump on it and not know it's there. If you got it there, then they'll know it's, don't do that, so.
Yeah, good point. That's part of it too. We want them
Yeah.
to see that and know if
Yeah.
they try to
Yeah.
do the skateboard tricks against the wall, that they're going to fall and fall pretty hard. So, you know, if they were completely invisible, we might have more lawsuits on our hands from kids hurting themselves.
It
So.
was just a big difference before they put those in there
Yep,
for
it's
the
quite a
look of
difference.
it, so that's,
Plus,
That was just my
it's kind of reserved seating. I think 4 or 5 people can get in between those.
Yeah, right.
Yes, it is.
Any other questions for Kevin from the board?
No.
Any questions for the public? Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Plan Department. Ben Bontrager.
Good evening, board members. I don't think I have quite as much as Kevin, but I got a few things to update you on. Planning department operations, we continue to be busy from an inspection perspective. There's a lot of projects going on. Permitting, however, has slowed down, not unexpectedly this time of year. We did issue 20 permits over the last month, so that's quite a bit down from what you typically see in the summer, but there are still some things going on. A good thing to note from a construction perspective, I'm sure you've seen a number of projects that are going on. South Lebanon Street off the interstate, all the vacant homes have been torn down. That's going to be replaced with a nice medical office building. Lebanon Gateway Marketplace at 32 and 65. Those industrial buildings are most of the way down. They're starting to do some of their underground work out there. And I do expect to see some of the first users for their retail center to start coming in for their approvals probably in the next month or so. So that's moving forward well. Patterson Street project is on some of the agendas tonight, but they're going pretty well on their demolition of that old industrial building there as well. So a number of projects are really underway. Good to see that there's some activity from the construction perspective on the commercial side. From code enforcement, there's still quite a bit going on there from trash and debris and some other complaints that we're working on there. So we just continue to hit on those as they come up. And just finally, the comprehensive plan project is continuing to move forward. We've been doing a lot of work internally, both with our steering committee, but also just staff working with the consultant. We're finalizing the list of objectives for the plan and have worked with our steering committee to highlight some key initiatives that we really want to highlight in the plan, and we're finalizing that list right now. There's about 18 to 20 key initiatives that are going to be highlighted throughout the plan. We will be having the second public open house where this information will be presented in February. We're finalizing the date right now, but it'll be sometime mid-February, so just for the general public, be watching for information on that. We'll be posting it on the city's website, Facebook. We may even work to try to get something out and utility bills or something like that if it's possible. So just trying to get that out, and please come and participate in that. We'll be asking for feedback on the information that'll be in the plan. The other thing that we have been working on is we've been working with the consultant to develop the framework for the website for the plan. So that's starting to come together. Construction of this website will really start in earnest just over in the next week or two. So that once we finalize all the plan information after this open house, we can start populating the website. So this is going to start coming together pretty quickly over the next few months. We'll have something to show the boards and council, et cetera, hopefully by late spring, early summer. That's all I got.
Thank you, Ben. Any questions from the board?
Nope.
Any questions for the public? Okay. Next is Street and Stormwater Department. Dave Newell.
Hello, everyone. Let's see, since our last meeting, we have finished up our final report for leaf collection. We turn into lambs and goes into our MS4 report every year. So the total mileage we had was 3,101 miles. That's, you know, for the vehicles running out to Lambs, running around town. Our total gas for just the trucks alone, we used 912 gallons of gas and diesel. A couple of those are diesel fuel. So the total fuel for the machines themselves was 567 gallons. The maintenance cost was $1,694.01. You know, that's for hoses, tires, a lot of tires really. But and then the total number of yards we drop off at Lambs was 1,731 yards. We have to figure out yards for the report. So we've been out still picking up brush, Christmas trees. We've got a lot of Christmas trees at the shop. So be surprised the people that want to come get those for their ponds. Really, I guess it helps the fish spawn or something, or mate or whatever they do. We've been cleaning off drains still. We've repaired 2 catch basins. Since the last meeting, we ran a line for a sub pump down here on Noble Street, trying to clean up that mess. A lot of ice. So we're trying to connect that to one of our drains to help out with that problem. Obviously, over the weekend, we had a significant snowfall. We tried to measure. You know, we're not meteorologists by any means. We got 7 inches somewhere out in the shop. So Saturday, we started at 8:30 a.m. We ended at 6 p.m. Then we came back in at 9:30 p.m. We ended at 2:30 a.m. And then Sunday we came back out at 2:30 p.m. and ended at 8 p.m. So it just, you know, when it doesn't stop, you got to give the guys a break somewhere and then come back out and fight it again. Let the material work. So we put in a total of 20 hours of plowing time, 180 rough hours, man hours, when you break it up like that. We used 44.5 tons of material, or salt mix, keep the city safe, and that's about it. I want to personally thank the crew for all the hard work they put in making our city safe. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but we did a pretty good job keeping up with it. A lot of them were upset because, you know, Colts games and football games are on. But
they didn't miss much.
Yeah. They didn't miss much, that's right.
Well, one of them's a Patriots fan, so he was upset Sunday. And also on a side note, me and Tom and myself were plowing in at Countryside, come back in, do our second round, and we had some kids build a fort in the cul-de-sac, which is fine. You know, I want kids to play, but their opening's on the back side, so thank goodness we didn't have more snow. You know, it's a concern. We don't want to bury any children, so I just asked that the parents, you know, we don't want to keep them from playing, but maybe mark it somehow for us, a flag on top or something, just to get our attention that, hey, something could be going on here, because, you know, we wouldn't have known otherwise, and we don't want to have any accidents or fatalities for that matter. But, you know, and they could even call in and let us know, hey, our kids built something here. We're not going to be upset, just so we could know. It'd be a big key. But that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Any questions from the board?
No, I think you did a good job in the snow removal.
Thanks.
Yep.
The guy
Absolutely.
did a good job.
Any questions from the public? Okay. All right. Last but not least,
Thank you.
Communications, Community Development, Joe LePage.
Good evening, everyone. Thankfully, 2019 is off to a racing start, and I have the City Council and the Mayor to thank for that. First time in 4 years, the Community Development / Marketing Department has an actual budget, and so very thankful to set that budget going forward through different initiatives and being able to help, hopefully help our community in many different facets. Those, at least to start 2019, include promotional quality of life avenues. We're ordering more promotional items to give away to folks. That's kind of the low-hanging fruit. But we're also looking at improving public art throughout our community. If you look around, there is very little to none. So we're looking on rectifying that. Also, working on our city's messaging, getting the positive headlines out there, whether through our own visual avenues, but also on air as well. And more about that will be at later Board of Works meeting reports. Also, we've discussed some website improvements. We think it's an upgrade from our previous version, but it's not exactly as user-friendly as we'd like, and so we'd like to take some significant improvement steps in 2019. Also working on increased community outreach, partnering with different organizations that have current events or initiatives that have gone on for many years, and those who are just beginning theirs, and so kind of paying it forward, so to speak, with efforts and collaboration. We have really helped out with the Youth Council this year and really pushed their two top initiatives, and those being a mural in our community in some way, shape, or fashion in some location. They're still working through that, as well as a youth space that's centered towards the youth and being able to improve their quality of life. And our goal there being that as young men and women are in school, they're able to really endear themselves to our community. And so once they move off and either go to college or off in the workforce, meet that special someone, we're hoping that Lebanon tugs at their heartstrings and they're willing to make the move back to Lebanon. We are continuing to work on the Love in Lebanon store. We're kind of doing a slow walk of those items. We're increasing the inventory. We purchased a website, and I won't share that until we have things actually on the website. We've purchased a URL to be able to push those items out that folks can go online and purchase. We'll also have a physical storefront downtown as well. And you may remember this is the higher quality items where half the money that you spend goes to buy more inventory. The other half is paid forward to a not-for-profit of your choice. We actually sold 2 T-shirts earlier today where folks were able to just come in, paid cash, and we're able to choose their nonprofit. So we will be sending that money and paying that forward while the person that purchases those items is then able to be a walking billboard for our community. And so some of the designs I've put together and some that we're working with a local designer to do those. And so we'll be kind of pushing more of those out in the future. Finally, speaking of new in 19 is a new newsletter template. And so that went out early in January. We'll have the second version of that coming out tomorrow at 7 a.m. The February newsletter is on February 1st. If you have an event or anything you'd like posted on that site, we'd like to use a free service for that. info@lebanon.in.gov is the place to send your information. We actually have been really pushing our community calendar this year and have a lot of positive response from folks doing that for our website, and we link that to the newsletter. And so really want to help get the word out about the great things happening within our community in 2019 and beyond. And so a lot of things going on right now, and it's only January. So looking forward to a busy 2019.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay. Thank you, Joe. So that concludes department head reports. So we'll move on to old business. This being the first meeting of the year, I don't really have any old business unless there's anything from the board.
No.
Okay, then we'll move on to new business. First item I have is downtown streetscape and Big 4 trail contract amendment.
Thank you all. I think this is really just a procedural item. I love when I don't have to ask you for any money. This is a contract amendment that will extend the Butler-Fairman contract for construction inspection services. We only signed a contract for the 4 phases of the first contract. We did not include the West Main Street contract. So the funding for this contract is already approved with the bond funding that was set up for Phase 2 or the West Main Street portion of the project. So again, not asking for any funding appropriation tonight, just asking for approval of a contract, a supplemental agreement to their current contract that increases the total construction inspection cost to $972,000. That's an increase for the West Main Street project of $494,000. So I would just be happy to answer any questions you might have, but the action we would be asking for tonight is authorization to execute this, authorization for the mayor, to execute this contract amendment.
Have you been happy with BF&S's construction inspection on the first phases?
I have, very happy. It's a complex project. We've had 2 guys out there at all times. Well, with the exception of overnight work or weekend work, we usually give one of them the day off or the time off. But it's been very effective. To be honest, I probably could have used even a 3rd person out there. There was so much going on and so many different locations that the work was going on. But I think they did a good job of looking out for our interests. We'll basically run the project as we go into the West Main Street project the same way we ran the downtown project, 2 full-time construction inspectors. At least until we get through Phase 1, which would be through the intersection of Lafayette Avenue. because at that time, we will also be doing the last phase of the first contract, so there'll be a lot going on between 39 and Lafayette Avenue. Once we cross into Phase 2, the way we've structured this is that we will drop down to one full-time inspector with one supplemental inspector as needed. This is a hourly contract, so the numbers I've given you earlier are those hourly not to exceed numbers. So,
okay.
And we are tracking with the first contract below the contract value, so we're hopeful that that will continue into this contract as well.
Okay. Any questions from the board concerning that? Okay. Would entertain a motion to approve the contract amendment pending final legal review and allow myself to execute that contract on the board's behalf.
I'll make a motion, we approve the, actually be a supplement, correct?
Technically, yes, supplemental agreement number 1.
Supplemental agreement number 1, and allow the mayor to execute that agreement.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right, next up is, actually, I'm going to go to the downtown RDA lease rental bond agency agreement next. Rob, are you talking about that one?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Board, this is simply a similar agency agreement that we did on the Phase 1 of the downtown project that just allows this board to act as the agent for the redevelopment authority and just get the updates as Kevin has done, throughout Phase 1 of the project. So it's just the legal document that allows this board to essentially be the eyes and ears for the city on Phase 2 of the downtown project, and ultimately take that through final completion. So we're seeking or the ask would be to a motion to approve this agency agreement and allow the mayor to execute it on the board's behalf.
Any questions from the board concerning that? No. Okay. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the agency agreement and allow the mayor to execute that contract.
So move.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those here say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that has been approved. Thank you, board. All right, and finally, we don't have the language drafted up yet, but during our department head retreat at the end of last year, there were a couple of different items that came up from an employee handbook standpoint, and we wanted to start addressing some of those. There are a lot of changes that we need to make, but there were a couple of some low-hanging fruit ones. The first item was maternity and paternity leave for employees. This has been an upcoming issue that we've had. We're seeing more frequently now. We do have kind of a younger workforce that's happening here in Lebanon. A lot of younger firefighters, younger police officers, new planning staff that are all joining us. They're more of childbearing age, I guess, so to speak. So this is not something we really dealt with in the past, really had a very good policy about, but as we wanted to reflect what other employers and other state agencies are doing, we wanted to talk about doing a similar type policy to what the state does, which is a 6-week paternity leave which would apply equally to the mother and also the father of the child. Would also apply for adoptions if there's a situation like that as well too. So that was one concept. So wanted to have feedback from that. And then also concerning the civil employees, so not directly related to police and fire, changing how their time works. But right now we have vacation time, we have personal days, we have sick days. Is that all of them? Mm-hmm. So we have 3 different types of days you use as employees, and so we wanted to, what comes with that is a lot of work on the clerk treasurer side, and we wanted to streamline that a little bit and go away from having those different types of days to just one PTO day. Challenge this presents is that currently policy says that for every month you don't use a sick day, you gain a half day in personal day. So we wanted to make an adjustment for that. So instead of, but the concept is to not just give everybody the initial 6 days that they could have earned, but give them the additional 5 days, because not everybody earns that, but there's a balance. And then also increase the number of days that you can quote unquote bank for employees. So that was the discussion that we had, and I think it's a good policy from our standpoint. It streamlines things from the clerk treasurer's office. It puts us in line with other communities and makes it, hopefully, Lebanon a great place to work for employees as well too. The changing of the number of days you could bank would also apply to police and fire, but they would still retain their sick days because that has a different status in the way their shifts work. So we're not touching that for them, but they would also be able to access the additional bankable time. So,
are we still working on those issues then, or?
Well, that's the concept as I laid it out. So we don't have language to present tonight, but
Okay.
I wanted to, if there's any feedback from the board concerning that, when I've run this by the department heads, I mean, the employees are pretty happy about it, obviously. So,
I'm assuming is that the pregnancy leave?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's all with the Family Medical Leave Act, all that sort of thing, or does that go with that, or is that something different today?
It's actually different, yeah.
Okay.
So actually, if you're on FMLA, you actually are not receiving a salary.
Okay.
So this is paid paternity leave, so paternity and maternity, paid leave for employees. And this is we didn't just pick the 6 weeks out of the hat. That's because of what the state does. We thought it would be. The way our budgets work, it's really, we budget a per person salary if they're here no matter what. So, the ability to offer a paid.
Impact on
Right, it won't have an impact on the budget or anything like that. So, we wanted to at least be in line with what the state offers their employees.
In our discussions at budget time, do we have anything like a short-term or long-term medical leave plan or for our employees? Have we ever discussed any?
Not really.
I don't remember that we've never discussed any option, but I've been in positions where, and I've seen these things happen where we end up getting an employee off for a long
Civil
time.
employees have a short-term disability plan.
Do I?
Civil employees have short-term disability.
Mm-hmm.
Fire and police, they have their own system through PERF.
Yeah, we also have the bankable time, so to speak. Right now it's the 25 days of time you can bank.
20.
Or 20 days.
20.
Okay. So the concept in is to this increasing what the bank is also kind of provides another benefit of it could function that way if they wanted to.
Can you ship that out to us on what our time is, and then what we'd like to maybe change it to?
Yep,
to
sure.
Make it simpler.
Like I
so
said,
that
we just wanted to
got something
present the
compare
concept to the board before we move
so that way we
forward.
got something to discuss. Okay.
Okay. That's all I wanted to bring up on that. And if you have any feedback, obviously, we welcome that. So that's all I had for new business. Anything else from the board for new business? Okay, then I'll head on to claims. Would entertain a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the claims.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. Motion and a second. All those here say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, claims are approved. And we entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move we adjourn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. The redevelopment commission will be starting soon.